That's it. We're live. Hello. I've chosen to go live in the not in the group this evening, so that Alison and I can have a chat really freely and make sure that we can cross post this to Alison's client base as well, because I think we're going to have a really nice discussion this evening, about 20 minutes or so. Please do ask your questions. Alison is the most amazing. Oh, I know you're a travel agent, but you're a travel counsellor, and I think that's such a good term for it, because you totally look after people. And if someone says to you, I've got a budget of 1,000 or a budget of 500 or a budget of $5,000, then you will craft something really wonderful together for that person based upon that budget, and you look after them from literally from the minute to the end minute, don't you? And that's what I love about what you do, and that's why we've done so many lives together and different blogs and YouTube videos and stuff like that. So welcome, Alison. Nice to see you.
Very much. Good to see you again.
So we got quite a few bits and bobs to cover this evening. So we thought we'd just update everybody on passports, on travel insurance, and as well as a couple of other bits and pieces that would be very useful to know. And then delve into a few bits that you found for the next sort of upcoming couple of months in terms of getting quite a good bargain, good value for money. And if anybody's got any questions, then of course, please do let them come in. It should just come up on my StreamYard screen. So do ask away. So one of the first questions I was asking Alison before we came on live is, what are you finding, or are you finding there a big difference in terms of people booking? Because of course all we've heard in the last sort of few months now is obviously cost of living crisis. So my first question to Alison was, have you seen a big decrease in bookings? But your response was the other way.
Totally. I must admit, I was a bit worried. December's always a lull anyway. So going into January, I was a bit worried, was it going to be as busy as last year? But I needn't have worried, because I've just hit £116,000 of sales this month, which is my best ever month being a travel counsellor, which is coming up to 6 years in May.
Wow, 6 years in May, cost of living crisis, and you've had £100,000 January in terms of sales. Yeah. That's unbelievable. And I'm really happy that people are still booking to go on holiday for everybody's sake. We all need it. Our mental well-being needs it. We need a break. We need the fun. We need something to look forward to. So that's really good, positive news. I don't know if anybody's listening right now who, have you booked a holiday? You're thinking of booking a holiday? What are your sort of thoughts on it, really? I mean, Alison, you're a seasoned traveller. You do lots of travelling. Have you got anything booked for yourself this year?
I'm going to be doing a few UK things, and then I'm taking the boys and I are going on the road trip to France for 3 weeks. So that should be good. That's something I've never done before. And I'm not particularly, my knowledge of France is not that great. So this will be excellent for me to do that. So yeah, and that will obviously be traveling with 2 dogs. So that's, a whole different ball game to what I'm used to.
Well, the French love their dogs. They cater to people with their fur babies. So that's all good.
Yeah. And then my friend and I, we always do our pre-Christmas jaunt, and we've just booked to go to Zagreb.
No idea where that is.
Croatia, it's a capital.
Oh, okay. Oh, I've heard lots of lovely things about Croatia. I think you've told me quite a few good things about Croatia.
So it was really good value for money. We decided, we've done Italy so many times and we wanted to give it a bit of a break. So, we decided to do that, but something a bit different.
Yeah, lovely. So your passport must be very, very full up every time you renew it.
It used to be. So, yeah, it's got quite a few stamps in it, but which brings me on to the passport situation. Obviously, the passport increase, I think it was the 2nd of February, it's going up.
Like 2 days' time then, yeah.
Yeah. Now, a lot of people are worried about the passport situation. If I send my passport off, am I going to get it back on time? But I have to say that clients who've sent their passports off, they've come back within about 8 or 9 days.
Oh, that's really good.
So it has been really good. And they said that they are obviously the passport office need to redeem themselves, compared to what it was like last year.
Yeah.
But the big passport issue is that people send me their passports and they're quite surprised when I say to them, you need to get a new one. Why? I've got, almost a year left on it. But the extensions, and I have to stress this again, the extensions do not count. So if your passport has a 6 or 7 month extension, it doesn't count. So you need to take 9.5 months from the date it was issued.
Interesting.
Most countries in Europe require that you have 3 months left on your passport on your arrival date back into the UK. However, most long haul countries require that you need 6 months on your passport. So, for example, if you're going to Barbados and your passport expires in December, it really expires in June.
Why is that? I mean, without going into too much detail, I mean, is there a simple answer to that or not really?
I think basically you can visit a lot of countries without obtaining a visa for up to 3 months. So I think it's just for overstayers.
Excuse me.
And to make sure that people don't overstay. But it is a big issue, and people have been caught out, not my clients, of course, but people have been caught out even at the airport and denied boarding.
Wow.
When you book with me, I set you up I set your profile up, and I request your passport details at the time of booking. And for some bookings, I have to have the passport details. Like, for example, if you're going to the US, cannot issue your tickets without your passport details.
Okay.
Whereas with a lot of Europe ones, I can get your passport details later on. But I always, a month after you've made the booking, if it's quite a booking that's quite advanced, I will chase you for your passport details. And then just look at them and say, yeah, you do need to apply. So it is quite confusing.
Yeah.
And, if you're just booking online, it doesn't come up with that kind of information. And they let you put the passports in. That's the most ridiculous thing. They don't flag it and say this passport's going to expire in 3 months' time or something.
Yeah, that's naughty, isn't it? That's not okay. But of course, that's where you come in, isn't it? That's where your expertise and your knowledge. That's why it's so good to book with somebody like you, because you're going to look after all those little tiny details. So, how much is the passports going up to them?
I think they're going up to 95.
What were they? 80 something, weren't they?
87. I think they're going up by £7.
Okay, so it's not the end of the world then.
Yeah, it's not the end of the world, no. But if you can get them in before the 2nd of February, then do so. And obviously, the earlier you get them in, I mean, there's probably going to be quite a lot of people that will always leave their passports to the last minute.
Yeah, I suppose the next sort of big influx of people going away will be Easter. So if you are looking at going away at Easter, presumably you've booked something already, or if you haven't, you're a bit of a last minute one, then just make sure you've checked your passport. Yeah.
And then the other big issue, and I know Martin Lewis speaks about this a lot, is the travel insurance.
Yes.
So travel insurance, a lot of people will book a holiday, say in January, and then they're going in July, and they'll take out their insurance about 2 days before they're due to travel.
Yeah, that's me.
And if anything happens in those days, like where you've taken out the insurance and you're traveling, you may not be covered for cancellation because you've only just taken it out. You need to take it out when you make the booking to make sure that you're 100% covered.
See, I never knew that. That's really interesting.
And again, a lot of countries now are asking for copies of insurance policies when you travel, particularly the Indian Ocean, so like Mauritius and Seychelles, and South America, because they don't want that they're not going to be liable if somebody gets sick. I mean, I'm not just talking about COVID, but I'm talking about everything in general.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, please make sure that you've got comprehensive travel insurance, particularly if you're going on a cruise. You need to make sure that you've got cruise cover. If you haven't got cruise cover and something happens and you have to be airlifted off the ship, then basic cover will not cover it.
This is really another really good one, because I've just talked about doing a financial declutter and kind of really getting right back to basics with everything that you have in your life admin, everything that you have in your bank account. And one of those things is insurances. Now, we all know we have got far too many insurances for like everything.
Yeah.
Most of us have got, I don't know, 3, 5 odd, different insurances coming out every month that we're paying for. So this is where it can get tricky, because you've got, you might be just rolling over various contracts for, say, some sort of things, but actually their terms and conditions might have changed, or your needs might have changed. And you know what we like, no one can't be asked to read the bloody terms and conditions. You just go, oh, yeah, I'm covered, that's fine. But actually, you've got to take that little bit of time to make sure that you are, and it is going to be fit for purpose. Otherwise, A, it's a total waste of your money in the first place. And B, if you can't make a claim, if you need to, you could really be in trouble.
Yeah, you could be. And again, that's with like the annual policies that you can take out.
Yeah.
So like with the annual policy, say if something happens to you and you get an illness in between that time of the annual policy, when it starts and when it expires, you need to declare that, because you won't be covered. So, you may be fully healthy when you take out the policy in, say, January, but then something happens, you get an illness or a condition in June, and you're due to travel in July, and you don't declare it, and something happens when you're away that relates to that particular condition, then you're not going to be covered.
God.
Yeah.
So it's scary stuff, isn't it? You think, oh,
it is
fine. God, hope we all are all fine, but there just might be something.
I mean, the prime example was my leg last year.
Yeah.
So I would, I have to declare that now because it's classed as pre-existing.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just, it's things like that we, you need to think about.
So would you go through that with a client to make sure that they have everything they need? Is that something that you would help them with?
Yeah, I mean, when I give them a quote for the travel insurance, when I send the quote through, it comes up and it says that on the quote that you need to declare any pre-existing conditions that you've got and the number to do so. And I do say to clients, once they've taken out the insurance, if anything changes in your medical, in your health, you do need to contact the medical screening company to let them know, because otherwise, as I say, you won't be covered. And there's quite a few conditions on there that you can have that you don't need, that you don't have to pay an excess for. But then on the other hand, there are some which have huge excess amounts. And actually there are some, like in particular cancer, that if you are going through treatment, that quite often you won't be covered. Yeah.
Well, it's an absolute bloody minefield, isn't it? Which is why, excuse me, best to talk to an expert about what you're doing.
So, that's all the kind of things that, like, we look at. But, the client has to be responsible as well.
Yeah, of course.
Because, you can't be saying to clients all the time, oh, you're still really healthy.
Yeah, right. We've got to be grown-ups. We've got to be grown-ups and look after ourselves. I know.
So, yeah, but, I think the two things that people kind of take for granted is the passport and the insurance.
Yeah.
Because they're the boring parts.
I was about to say that. That's all the boring stuff. We don't care about it. Oh, as long as you've got it, that's fine. It's done. Let's think about what clothes you're going to buy down the shops to take with us.
It's the most important part.
Yeah.
Especially if you're doing a late booking. If clients are ringing up and they want late bookings, I always say to them, can I see your passport? Can you send me a copy of your passport before we even start this?
Yeah,
so we need to make sure that you are okay to travel.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Woof. So, okay. Have we got some bargains that people are going to be happy to hear about?
Yeah. I mean, it's really strange this year how a lot of the countries have turned around with like not being so competitive with their prices. So for the last few years, hello Ernie, for the last few years, places like Croatia and Montenegro were really good value for money. They seem to have obviously they've got more popular, so the prices have shot up.
Yeah.
Cyprus always used to be quite an expensive place. And people used to say to me, I'd never be able to afford to go to Cyprus. My budget won't cover that. But I found a 1 week holiday in the middle of June for £443 per person.
Okay, that's doable, isn't it?
4-star hotel on bed and breakfast. That includes your flights, your accommodation, and transfers, resort transfers.
That's really good.
Which was really good. Bulgaria. Now, that is still holding its own with being very competitive. And prices are coming out there for 1 week in June. Bed and breakfast with flights, transfers, and accommodation, £385.
That's good.
Had a quick look at a short break.
Excuse me.
Because a lot of clients like short breaks.
Yeah.
I have some clients that just do, maybe 3 or 4 short breaks a year, and that they spread their holidays like that. Really good deal in Malta, £266 for 3 nights in March. Again, bed and breakfast, transfers, and flights. So really good.
Yeah.
And looked at a family of 4, so 2 adults and 2 children, self-catering in Minorca, coming out at 2,420.
Okay, that is good, isn't it? Is that 500-600 each or something?
500. Yeah. And again, the flights, the transfers, and the accommodation.
Yeah, that is good, isn't it?
What I've been finding with the summer holidays is, and I've found this in the past, but it's being more of a pattern now. Everybody, as soon as the schools break up, like the parents want to get the kids on the holiday straight away. But a lot of times, I'm not saying it's every time, but a lot of times I've noticed anything sort of after about the 15th of August, prices are coming down.
So the latter part of the school holidays.
The latter part of the school holidays, yeah. Because if you're going for 2 weeks, obviously that won't bring you back until the 29th. But, if you want 10 days, it's ideal. But, this is what I'm finding. So everybody goes sort of like the end of July, beginning of August, and they seem to be at the peak prices.
Yeah.
Traveling on a Tuesday and a Wednesday can also reduce your costs. And statistically, it's supposed to be the 2 days that have less delays. Whether that's true or not,
okay.
I don't know. But yeah. So when I'm looking, I'm kind of, if people are flexible, I'm looking sort of like the middle of August on a Tuesday and a Wednesday departure.
Yeah. So the more flexible you can be, the better. Obviously, it's not always easy, particularly with families, etc., and trying to book time off work. But you were mentioning to me before we came on as well about times of the day as well. In terms of, obviously, it'd be really nice if you have particular certain times of the day that suit you better. In terms of obviously getting to the airport, you haven't got to get there at 4 a.m. or something. But what you find, is there quite a difference in price?
Yeah, there can be. Like some of the supplements are like about £175 per person. It's ridiculous. So I think, when you're looking and you give a budget, and you say, I must have flights that are leaving at 9 o'clock in the morning, and I want them to leave the resort back, say, like at lunchtime. You're probably, and if your budget is quite tight, you're probably not going to find that. So you need to be more flexible in that kind of situation. Yeah. The kind of more expensive flight times, I would say, really are from probably 8 through to about 11 in the morning. And then kind of about 12:30 through to about 3:30 in the afternoon.
Yeah.
Take Turkey as an example. A lot of flights are like late flights, so they get into the resort quite late at night. And most resorts in Turkey, apart from if you're flying into Bodrum and staying in that Bodrum Peninsula, have very long transfer times.
Yeah.
So, they can be up to 2-hour transfer time.
So if you've got traveling with the family and little ones, and they might be really getting tired and very grumpy, and it makes not a very good start to your holiday.
Exactly. But if you've got a tight budget and you need to be traveling, reasonable times. You may not find that with somewhere like Turkey. I did an Italy booking at the weekend, and to Sorrento, so flying into Naples. That was no problem at all because the flight timings, they only had one flight a day. It's when you've got more than one flight a day, that the prices, the difference in the prices and the supplements can be absolutely ridiculous.
So I wonder, and you'll obviously know this, is it better to book earlier and secure a good deal, or can you get some good lastminute.com ones? And if so, do you do last minute holidays or not really?
I'll do any, if I've had clients ring me and say, oh, I need to go away tomorrow. Can you do it? But there's, I've been doing this for years. And I remember when I used to run the shops, work in the high street shops. And, you used to get some really good last minute deals. You put the cards in the window and
I remember that.
Deals. That sort of has gone. If you want a holiday, if you are set on dates, if there's particular places or particular hotels that you want, then you need to be booking early. We still have to remember that we're still not back. Heathrow Airport said that they won't be back until 2024.
Wow.
They're pre-COVID. So we are still, there are still some places where there may only be one flight a day, where there used to be 2 or 3. There's some places where there may be flights every other day. So,
excuse me.
Capacity is sometimes hard to get.
So it's really good that you got the budget to go away this year. Absolutely brilliant. Might need to be a bit flexible on the dates and times and maybe even destinations or your expectations for what you'll get for your money. But I guess sort of to round out the bulk of this is just, I suppose my question is, have destinations gone up in price? Really good key destinations have gone up in price because of the cost of living crisis. I mean, really off the back of the whole COVID situation and pandemic, or excuse me, is everybody dropping their prices just to get some more people into their resorts, or is there no sort of real pattern to it at the moment?
No, the prices are, you're not really seeing that the prices have dropped.
No.
Maybe Cyprus looks like it's dropped, but then that might be because everywhere else is more expensive. So, and it's not just COVID, obviously, that the war in the Ukraine has a huge knock-on effect. So the price of like the aviation fuel.
I was going to say that must have a big effect on the price of the flights as well.
Aviation fuel, landing fees at airports, all these things have to be taken into consideration. And hotels, some of them were shut for like almost 2 years. They've got to get their money back if they're still. And there are a lot of hotels that don't exist anymore because they ceased trading. So, I think, you've got to be prepared that you might have paid pre-COVID X, but you might not get that now.
I mean, with the cost of living, I mean, it's difficult to say because different sectors are going up in different amounts. But food, you're looking at, I think, best part of 20% increase now. So I didn't know if, from a holiday perspective, if there is a rough guide percentage increase to expect. But of course, I suppose that's a really tough question to answer because everywhere's so different. The best thing to do, of course, is just ask you, there's 3 of us, there's 2 of us, there's just me, or there's a family, we've got this sort of idea, we want somewhere hot, we want this, we want that. Where would you recommend for that sort of money? And then you'll be able to go, well, let me just give you a few examples and let's just run with
that's really how it works.
I
mean, a lot of people do come to me and say they want X, Y, Z, which is fine. But quite often I'll slip in something else. Or have you thought about this? Have you thought about that? Of course, the big one is cruising.
Yeah.
It's still very good value for money. And when you think you cruise and like literally, especially if it's a full all inclusive, you haven't got to think about anything.
Yeah.
So there are pros and cons, and there are pros and cons to taking an all inclusive holiday.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I think it's just a case of like, this is my budget, this is what I want, and really trying to work with that.
Yeah. I wonder whether if anybody's watching now or on replay, please do put it in the comments. If you're traveling solo, is there some stuff that you'd be really interested in if Alison were to come back and do a whole piece on solo traveling? Because you've done a lot of that, haven't you, over the years?
Yeah.
And you've always, well, not always perhaps, but the bulk of the time felt safe, you felt secure, you felt quite empowered by it and liberated by the whole experience. You've not felt uncomfortable or embarrassed. And I think there's a lot to be said for that, because there's a lot of, particularly women, if we want to go away, you think, oh, I can't even go down and sit in a restaurant or a bar on my own in the town centre, never mind go on a bloody holiday on my own. So it might be quite nice if anyone's interested. Perhaps we'll do another piece, in a month or two's time, something like that. Would you be up for that?
I mean, I'd love to talk about that, because there's a lot of little tips that I would definitely recommend. I personally feel that you've never travelled unless you've travelled on your own.
I can imagine.
It is, the first time can be a bit scary, but I have a lot of women that travel on their own and say, in fact, I've got a regular client who goes on her own, but this year she's decided to go away with her friends, and she said it's the worst thing she's done. And they haven't even gone yet.
Oh, funny. How funny.
So she's like, you know what? She said, I realised why I travel on my own. So I said, yeah, it does work like that. Yeah. And
Brilliant.
the thing is, you meet lots of people. And you can talk to people, but then you can walk away. You don't have to be with them for the rest of the day.
That's very true. Brilliant.
Yeah.
So what else do we need to know, Alison? Because I know we could chat all night. It's already been, excuse me, I've got this rotten blooming tickle in the sore throat back again. I can't believe it.
Oh, no.
Anything else that would be really...
I would just say, don't think about leaving it to the last minute. I mean, there possibly are going to be things around, but that's going to determine where you go. You're not going to be able to determine where you want to go. And prices, because we work with live booking systems all the time, prices can go up. I quoted on Friday, and I went back to book it on Saturday, and it had gone up by £300.
Oh, okay. So if you like the sound of it, the best thing is to do is say, right, book it. And do you require a deposit straight away? How does it work?
Yeah. Sometimes we require, so if it's just like flight only, we require full payment.
Yeah.
But with holidays, anything outside of 10, 12 weeks is just deposit. Anything within that will be full payment. And the deposits vary from £50 through to thousands, depending on what you're booking. If you're booking a cruise and it's like 14 grand and you've got to pay 20% of that as a deposit, then yeah,
it's quite a big thing, but there we are. Good.
So, just don't leave it. If you're in that mindset to book your holiday and you see some, and and I come back and you like what I offer, don't sit on it, because you could end up losing it.
Yeah. Got to make a quick decision. No mucking about.
Yeah.
Good. Lovely. Thank you. If anybody wants to have a chat with you, no obligation chat, what are your options, etc., then how can... Oh, has she gone? I think she's clicked out. Oh, fine. Oh, not to worry. I'll make sure that she puts all her details in the comments after I've come off live here. I did put her link to her website actually in the information field, so you'll find that there, but I'll make sure she puts her details in anyway. So hope you enjoyed that this evening. So any comments, any questions, any thoughts, then please put them in the comments. And she's come back. She's come back. She's come back. I was just doing the final goodbyes. I thought, she's just disappeared. Not to worry. I was just saying that you'll put your details in the comments. So if anybody wants to get hold of you,
Yeah.
drop your
Should I
WhatsApp
just type
or
it in the
whatever.
comments now?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, do that. You know, send you're okay with text messages, are you, as well as obviously phone calls and
Yeah. I can't type.
I will do it afterwards. It might be something to do with the
Okay.
weirdness of StreamYard, but there we are. Good stuff. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Lucy.
And I'll see you next Wednesday in person anyway. We'll figure out another time to come back and do another session at some stage.
Brilliant. And if anybody needs anything, I'll put my contact details in there now.
Perfect. Lovely. Thank you for your time. Thanks, everybody.
Yeah.
Have a nice evening. Bye. Bye.
Bye.